that terror to Australia was no wild colonial boy.
Of the many courageous police officers in the districts that Ben Hall was operating, Sir Frederick Pottinger was one of the most relentless in his pursuit of bushrangers, most notably Frank Gardiner, Prince of Highwaymen. Gardiner, though, was always just one step ahead of the inspector, and had a way of making Pottinger, on occasions, look foolish in his attempts to capture him. As a result, Sir Frederick Pottinger was often lampooned in the press for a perceived lack of effort in bringing the bushrangers to justice. Pottinger, undeterred by these articles, would spend days, weeks, months in the saddle living rough in the bush, and was the first to introduce civilian attire for the pursuing police and the use of black trackers in any meaningful way. Often handicapped with inferior horses and antiquated equipment and poor information, even the large rewards offered was so far insufficient to lure harbourers to betrayal, which all impeded his valiant efforts for success. Apart from the capture of Patsy Daly and his hard line in arresting known acquaintances of Gardiner, believed to be involved in the Ugara gold escort robbery, which included Ben Hall, Pottinger's only success was when Dan Charters turned Queen's evidence, and then only 3 of the robbers would ultimately stand trial and be found guilty for that hold-up. Ben Hall was released. But for the success that could be attributed to the inspector was that while in charge of police in his area of Forbes, Ben Hall rarely ventured into the Lachlan district and kept more to the southern or western districts and on the main southern roads. Still, Sir Frederick was very active in the hunting of Ben Hall and gang. Horse racing, the sport of kings, was in the 1860s one of Australia's favourite pastimes, with the first Melbourne Cup run in 1861, won by Archer. Country races were a huge event on the social calendar, and outside Forbes a 2-day meeting was held on the 5th and 6th of January 1865. Ben Hall, Gilbert and Dunn were rumoured to attend, and word had reached Pottinger that they may attempt to attack him. To lure them out, Pottinger, a fine horseman, decided to ride in the last race. Little was he to realise that this act would be the beginning of the end of the career of one of the most resolute pursuers of bushrangers. By riding in the races, Pottinger had broken police regulations which forbid officers from participating in race meetings. Inspector General of Police, Mr. McCleary, who may have been looking for a politically expedient scapegoat to placate public outrage, demanded an explanation from Inspector Pottinger. Pottinger replied with a 17-page justification of the events, but it was not enough to save him, and he was summarily dismissed from the New South Wales Police Service. The public, shocked and amazed at his treatment, rallied to his defence with many petitions sent to government. For the next few weeks, people of influence continued vigorously to support Sir Frederick, but with little success. As he had not been reinstated, Sir Frederick decided to travel to Sydney in a personal attempt through family connections to resolve the matter. The coach departed Forbes for the long trip to Sydney, and as it arrived at Blaxland in the Blue Mountains, it stopped at Waistco's Inn for refreshments. Sir Frederick took the opportunity to stretch his legs in a nearby orchard. He then noticed the coach beginning to depart and ran to join it. As he leapt aboard, a small Sharps 30 calibre 4-barrel pistol in his coat pocket caught on the framework and the gun discharged, firing a bullet which entered Sir Frederick's body under the ribs, causing serious internal injury. The coach returned to Waistco's Inn, and although the doctors could not find the projectile, Sir Frederick, who was calm and conscious, listened to the doctors, where it was decided he should be moved to Sydney for better medical treatment. Sir Frederick was taken to the Victoria Club in Castlereagh Street, where for a short time his health began to improve, but on Sunday the 3rd of April 1865 he suffered a relapse, and by the 5th of April became confined to bed, as a serious infection had set in. On Saturday he lapsed into a coma, and on Sunday the 9th of April 1865 Sir Frederick Pottinger died. His funeral was held on the 11th of April 1865, and he was buried at St Jude's Church, Randwick. As a mark of respect, All businesses in Forbes closed for the day. Inspector McCleary attended the funeral. Ben Hall continued his activities.
I'll fight, but not surrender, cried a wild colonial boy. He fired a shot at Kelly, which did bring him to.